survey has indicated that more than 93% of the respondents have said that fraud is on the increase. It is interesting to note that when we compare it with our previous survey, where we had asked them specifically what would be the increase in the number of incidents over the next 2 years, most of them, in fact 80% of them, had said that it will be between 5 and 10%. Interestingly, the survey this year indicates that more than 51% of the respondents have said that the rise in fraud incidents has been at least between 10 to 50%, and some of them have indicated that's more than 50%. So that's a significant increase in the number of fraud incidents that have been encountered by the industry in the last 2 years. When we ask them which are the areas which are primarily prone to fraud incidents, most of the respondents clearly said that the primary culprits are corporate banking and retail banking, where more than 2/3 of the respondents have held them responsible for the increase in the number of fraud incidents. While we are talking to them, we also wanted to identify what was the root cause of the rise in the fraud incidents. The primary reason which has been cited by the respondents are that it is primarily because of lack of oversight by the senior managers or managers to the deviations in the existing process and controls, followed by business pressure to meet target. These two reasons appear to be same compared to our edition in the previous edition of our survey. But interestingly, the third reason which has come up, which was not there in our previous survey, is that it's because of collusion between their employees and the vendors. Which are the areas which are vulnerable to fraud when you're talking about these two segments in the banking industry? What is common across both the segments is fraudulent documentation and overvaluation or undervaluation of collateral. Having said that, in corporate banking, besides these, the primary concern for the bankers is siphoning and diversion of fund. When we asked the respondents about the number of fraud incidents and the values of fraud, in retail banking segment, the average number of fraud incidents encountered by respondents were about 50, with a fraud loss of about 10 lakhs per incident. And in corporate banking, it was 10 incidents per respondents with an average loss of about 2 crores and above. When we talk about fraud issues, the primary basic issue is that it's a fraud loss and it affects your bottom line. What is the other impact on the organization? 1/3 of the respondents have clearly said that they have a huge reputational issue when it comes to a fraud incident, with about 1 in 4 respondents citing regulatory impact and loss of productivity. Risks are inherent in a banking environment, and it's now, because of the reputational issue and the regulatory impact, now it is a board agenda for most of the bankers.